armed services committees to stand up for our veterans and our values and our men and women in uniform and our security. Now, there's no doubt in my mind, because I'm here with him, that Tim is so qualified to be vice president and, as I have said many times, the most important qualification Virginia Tech shooting, he signed an executive order to keep guns out of the hands of those who were deemed severely mentally ill. And he has fought for common sense gun reform across the country, as we saw just a few weeks ago when he joined the 15-hour Senate filibuster, asking that we get those reforms done. When I say he's a progressive who likes to get things done, I mean it. He's not afraid to take on special interests, whether he's calling for tough regulations on payday lending or fighting back against attacks on Planned Parenthood and defending women's right to make our own health decisions. Tim has led
to be great. You must be full of the strength to overcome adversity. To be great, you must be full of the heart to face any challenge. To be great, you must be full of the passion to never stop. To be great, you must be full of the love of your sport, your teammates, your country, and your rivals. Most of all, to be great, you must be full of goodness.
We don't have a one-person teaching corps. We don't have one doctor and one nurse who fixes everything, do we? We work together. That is what has traditionally set us apart from places that have turned to single leaders, despots, dictators, authoritarians who have promised people, I can fix it alone. You know what that says about us? That somehow we're helpless? We can't do this work that needs to be done in America ourselves? That we can't reach out to one another? That we can't make the economy work for everyone, not just those at the top? I reject that, and next week, starting on Monday in Philadelphia, you're going to see a very different constitution. take on the challenges that are hurting Americans. We are going to give the middle class a raise. We are going to give tax relief to working families to help with the rising costs of raising kids. We are going to create more good jobs. We're going to make sure every child in America has the chance to live up to his or her God-given potential. So please, join us. Join us. Take out your phone right now. Text JOIN to 47246 or go to HillaryClinton.com because we are hiring organizers right here in Florida right now. So be involved in every way that you can because together we're going to win this election and move our country forward. Please join me in welcoming the next Vice President, my friend, Senator Tim Kaine.
Hey guys, thank you. Hello Miami. Hello FIU. Y bienvenidos a todos. Bienvenidos a todos en nuestro país, ¿verdad? Porque somos americanos todos. I'm feeling a lot of things today, most of all gratitude. I'm grateful to you, Hillary, for the trust that you've placed in me, and we're going to be compañeros de alma. I'm grateful to the country which has given me so much. I'm grateful to all of you Floridians, my Virginians, all Americans who poured their hearts into this wonderful, wonderful campaign. And today, like every day, I'm especially grateful to my wife.
40 stories high.
This is quite a week for me, and believe it or not, for as powerful as it is to become Hillary Clinton's running mate, that's not the only thing on my mind this week. Ann and I have 3 kids. Our oldest son, Nat, is here today with his fiancée. He's a proud Marine. And in just a few days, he's deploying to Europe to uphold America's commitment to our NATO allies. For me, this drives home the stakes in this election. Nearly 2 million men and women put their lives on the line for this country as active duty, as reservists, as Guard members. They deserve a commander-in-chief with the experience and the temperament to lead. What does Donald Trump say about these great Americans, these 2 millions? He repeatedly calls the American military, quote, a disaster. And just this week, Donald Trump said that as president, he'd consider turning America's back on our decades-old commitments to our allies. And all of you remember a few months ago when he said about a Senate colleague of then Senator Clinton's and mine, John McCain, that he wasn't a hero because he had been captured and served as a prisoner of war in Vietnam. And he wants to be commander-in-chief. While our service members are out there on the front lines, Trump saying he'd leave our allies at the mercy of an increasingly aggressive Russia And folks, that's an open invitation to Vladimir Putin to just roll on in. Even a lot of Republicans say that that's terribly dangerous. When you, all right, I'm hiring for the speech writing team. We've seen again and again that when Donald Trump says he has your back, you better watch out. From Atlantic City to his so-called university, he leads.
I'd see her on the way home from work. Sometimes we'd even say hi. But the day I tried AccuView contacts, it started coming from way down the street. So I went for it. I asked her if she was afraid of heights, and the next thing you know, we're 40 stories high, just us and this crazy view. She said she'd never forget it. I know I won't.
The world leader in contacts, AccuView, the lens that changes everything. Get started with free contacts.
Clinton, she doesn't insult people, she listens to them. What a novel concept, right? She doesn't trash our allies, she respects them. And she'll always have our backs. That is something I am rock solid sure of. And I know that because Hillary knows that we're stronger together. We're stronger when we work together, when we grow together, when we pull together, when we live in the same neighborhood and worship together and go to school together. When we're together, we're stronger. So, I could not be any more honored to stand by Hillary's side in this very important campaign.
We love you both!
I've spent most of my life in public service because I believe in doing everything I can to make a positive difference in people's lives. And I can see a lot of you out there who feel exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. I'm one of only 20 people in American history to serve as a mayor, a governor, and a United States senator. So I've been able to see how government works and how sometimes it doesn't, from just about every perspective. And I've always believed that however you serve, what matters is whether you actually deliver results for people. And that's been my goal. That's been my goal in every position I've ever held. Now, I know for a lot of you, this might be the first time you're hearing me speak. And hey, let me be honest, for many of you, this is the first time you've even heard my name. But that's okay, because I'm excited for us to get to know one another. So today I thought I might do a little bit from.
I have an exciting new app to tell you about. If you're single, don't hit this button. How about meeting new people while making money? With Wowza.me, you can sell your phone number to interested people and make a lot of money. Start getting compensated for your social media time. Let me walk you through how to use Wowza.me so you can start to get paid. Start by downloading the app from the App Store or Google Play. Next, open the app and enter your phone number.
and sometimes Dad would just shake us in the morning and say, I got an order to get out, and I really need you guys today. I remember the last day of summer vacation, I was so looking forward to sleeping in, and then I felt that hand on my shoulder at about 6. I really got to have your help to get an order out today. But that's what families do. We would go there early, especially in the summer, to try to get the work done before the day got hot. That's what families do. That's what families do. My parents, Al and Kathy, and they're alive and healthy, and they're happy today. 81 years old, alive, healthy, and happy. They taught me early lessons that have guided my life: the importance of hard work, faith, kindness, of following your dreams. My mom once told me, and I'll say this, she wasn't much of a lecturer. She just kind of liked to live, and then we were supposed to follow the example. But she once told me this: Tim, you have to decide whether you want to be right or you want to do right. If you want to be right, go ahead and be a pessimist. But if you want to do right, be an optimist. And folks, I've been an optimist ever since. I went to a Jesuit boys' school, Rockhurst High School in Kansas City. And all right, some Jesuits in the house. I like that. The motto of my school, the school, was "Men for Others," and that was what we were taught. And that's where my faith, which had been important to me because of my parents' example, really grew into something more vital. It became like my North Star, the organizing principle for what I wanted to do. Even as a young man, because of these great teachers I had, and because of my parents' example, I knew that I wanted to do something to devote myself to social justice. And that's why, after racing through the University of Missouri in 3 years and starting at Harvard Law,
would you have voted for the Affordable Care Act?
Yes, because I think you need to start somewhere.
But individual plan premiums increased by almost 10% this year, and some plans could rise by over 20% next year. Nearly 25,000 Nevadans lost their coverage in 2013, and thousands more did in 2015. Even as Nevada suffered, Masto called Obamacare a good law.
Would you have voted for the Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
We can't trust her in the Senate. The U.S. Chamber is responsible for the content of this advertising.
My time in Honduras changed my life in so many ways. Aprendí los valores de mi pueblo: fe, familia y trabajo. Fe, familia y trabajo. Los mismos valores de la comunidad latina aquí en nuestro país. ¿Verdad? And here's something that really stuck with me. I got a first-hand look at a system. This was 1980 and 81, a dictatorship, where a few folks at the top had all the power and everybody else got left behind. And it convinced me that we've got to advance opportunity and equality for everybody, no matter where they come from, how much money they have, what they look like, what accent they have, or who they love. In 1970, a Republican governor of Virginia, Linwood Holton, believed exactly the same thing. He integrated Virginia's public schools after the state had fought for 16 years after the Brown v. Board to keep them segregated. Now, in 1970 in Virginia, that took political courage. And then he and his wife went even further. They enrolled their own kids, including their daughter Anne, in integrated schools, and it sent a strong signal to the people of Virginia that their governor wasn't going to back down, wasn't going to take half steps, or wasn't going to make rules for others that he wouldn't follow for himself. So, many years later, that young girl, Anne, went to Princeton, Harvard Law School, guided by her experience as a youngster in the first generation of integrated Virginia schools. And one day in a study group, she met this kind of nerdy guy who had been off teaching kids in Honduras. Anne and I got married 32 years ago.
Everybody knows that business today is built on data. The thing is, most businesses aren't getting the most out of it.
The IBM Cloud is uniquely designed for all kinds of data, like data from the Weather Company for 2.2 billion locations.
Or billions of health-related data points. Even social sentiment in real time from hundreds of millions of people. In the IBM Cloud.
If you combine that with the data your business already has,
then things get interesting.
So right now, we're working with a retailer to blend social and inventory data to help predict demand.
We can help a hotel chain match weather and local event data so they can adjust room prices from minute to minute.
And another company we work with can apply analytics to sensor data to save millions in energy costs. Today, every business runs on data.
That's exactly why we built the IBM Cloud.
Helped inspire me to work as a civil rights lawyer, representing people who had been turned away from housing either because of the color of their skin or because they were American with a disability. And this was my civil rights work for 17 years. I brought dozens of lawsuits when I was in private practice, battling banks, landlords, real estate firms, insurance companies, and even local governments that had treated people unfairly. In 1998, I won a historic verdict against a national insurance company because they had been redlining minority neighborhoods, treating them unfairly in the issuance of homeowners insurance. At the time I won that case, it was the biggest jury verdict ever in a civil rights case in American history. I like to fight for right. I like to fight for right. And I found myself going to city council meetings in Richmond to raise the issues that I was dealing with every day on behalf of my clients. But I was frustrated at division and infighting. So in 1994, I did something that seemed even crazier than what I'm doing now. I decided to run for local office. Man, I was so scared the day I announced, but I wanted to help my city and my community. I knocked on every
What shall I do? Put my What shall I do? Put myself along by your side.
And then as an adult. We had to make tough decisions when I was in office because it was the deepest recession since the 1930s. But that didn't stop us from expanding early childhood education, from building more classrooms and facilities on our college campuses so more could go to school, because we knew that education was the key to everything we wanted to achieve in the state, and it's the key to everything we want to achieve as a nation. We invested in open space preservation and cleaning up the Chesapeake Bay because our kids and grandkids deserve to enjoy the beautiful Commonwealth that we love, just like you love the beauty of your Sunshine State. And we achieved national recognition for our work in tough times. When I was governor of Virginia, best managed state in America, best state for a child to have a successful life, best state for business, one of the lowest unemployment rates, one of the highest bond ratings, one of the highest family incomes. We did that during tough times. And so today, I am proud to carry that work forward as a Virginia senator serving on the Armed Services, Foreign Relations, and Budget Committees. They actually just added me to the Aging Committee, too. I don't know why they would have done that. Why would they have done that? I'm proud to support my wife's public service. She has been a legal aid lawyer, juvenile court judge, foster care reformer. Now she's Secretary of Education for the Commonwealth of Virginia. And Anna and I are both so proud of our great Commonwealth and of our great nation. And isn't it great already? I mean, isn't it great already? What a great country. Embraces all people, regardless of their race or economic status, regardless of their religion or their gender, regardless of their sexual orientation or where they're from. We've got this beautiful country that should be a country of welcome, that should be a country of inclusion, and I know that that is a fundamental value that Hillary Clinton shares. You know, soy católico, I'm a Catholic, and Hillary is a Methodist, but I tell you, her creed is the same as mine. Do all the good you can. Pretty simple. Do all the good you can. Measure your life by the positive effect you can have on other people's lives. Be of service to one another. Now that's a notion that Americans of every faith tradition and every moral tradition believe in, and it's a message that Hillary Clinton has taken to heart for her entire life. For her entire life. Fighting for children and families, like when she was First Lady, after she tried and a recalcitrant Congress blocked her in the big advance that we needed on health care reform, she said, you know what, I'm not stopping. If we can't get it all, can we pass a program to provide health insurance to 8 million more American children? And that's what she did. And that's what she did. That's what we fought for. Fighting for equal rights for African Americans, for Latinos, for people with disabilities, for LGBT. In the aftermath of the 9/11 attack, fighting tenaciously to make sure that 9/11 first responders in New York and other localities would get health benefits. Now, there are an awful lot of people who've put their trust and their faith in Hillary, and she's always delivered for them. From working with the Children's Defense Fund, to First Lady of Arkansas, to First Lady of the United States, to Senator, to Secretary of State, she has always delivered.
Ms. Adrienne Grenier. An actor, filmmaker, entrepreneur, and I'm
Hillary, whatever the drama, whatever the attack, whatever the situation, stays focused on what matters, helping people. That's what keeps her going. So here's how Hillary and I are going to continue that work with a strong, progressive agenda. We're going to make the American economy work for everybody, not just those at the top. Not just those at the top. And we'll do that by making the largest investment in good-paying jobs since World War II. We will make college debt-free for everybody. We'll rewrite the rules so that companies share their profits with workers rather than ship jobs overseas. And we'll make sure that Wall Street corporations and the wealthy pay their fair share of taxes. And while we're on the subject of taxes, where are Donald Trump's tax returns? Raise your hand if you think those returns would show that he's paid his fair share of taxes. Well, I don't see a lot of hands. We're going to fight for paid family leave, equal pay for women, and raising the minimum wage to a living wage. To keep families together, and to bring them out of the shadows, in our administration, in the first 100 days, we'll put forward a comprehensive immigration reform package that includes a path to citizenship. En el Senado hacemos eso hace casi 3 años y estamos esperando todavía para la Casa de Representantes a tener un
It's as if the football field has marked off and we've now got 20-yard line and 50-yard line markers. And we know exactly where the resistance is, where the support is. Really
powerful things you'll ever see. Often, after the oath is taken, there's an open mic and people get to just walk up and say, here's why I decided that I wanted to become a citizen of the United States. And it will just bring tears to your eyes and a smile to your face when you hear what these people think about the greatness of the United States of America. And when you go to one of these naturalization services and you see the people's desire to join this great country, you'll basically have this pretty amazing thought. Cualquier persona que ama tanto a los Estados Unidos merece estar aquí. Anybody who loves America this much deserves to be here. Deserves to be here. Now, there's one last part of Hillary's plan that means a lot to me personally, that kind of emotional for me, and I bet it's emotional for you. How to stem the epidemic of gun violence that kills 33,000 Americans every year. As governor during one of the most horrible shootings in America's history, this issue is very close to my heart. Very close to my heart. And I know that many of you here feel exactly the same way after that tragic shooting in Orlando in June. We can do better, folks. We can do better. It was in April of 2007, about halfway through my time as governor. I had just arrived in Japan on a trade mission to bring jobs back to Virginia. Had checked into the hotel room, had fallen asleep when the knock came at my door, and the head of my security detail said, "Governor, you got to turn on the TV. We're going to get on the phone. There's a horrible shooting underway at Virginia Tech, this wonderful college in Blacksburg, Virginia." And as jet-lagged as I was and just arrived, I said, "Take me back to..."
But would you have voted for the Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
We can't trust her in the Senate.
Who had been injured, and also to the first responders who had been there to help them. This April 16, 2007, that was the worst day of my life. It was the worst day of so many people's lives. And for the parents and the loved ones of those kids and professors, that pain never goes away. Precious 17-year-olds, a 70-year-old Lithuanian-born Holocaust survivor who was a teacher, who could survive the Holocaust, who could survive the Soviet takeover of his country, but who fell victim to gun violence because he blocked the door and told his students to climb out the window as his body was being riddled with bullets. Survived the Holocaust, survived the Soviet takeover of your country, and fall victim in Blacksburg, Virginia, to the horror of American gun violence. So when the vast majority of Americans, and even a majority of NRA members, agree that we have to adopt common sense gun safety measures, Hillary and I will not rest. Will not rest. We will not rest until we will not rest. We won't rest. We won't rest until we get universal background checks and close loopholes that put guns in the hands of criminals, terrorists, and dangerous people who should not have them. It's so easy. The American public wants it. Gun owners want it. The NRA members want it. We will not rest. Now, folks, I know the NRA. They're headquartered in my state, in Virginia. They've campaigned against me in every statewide race that I've ever run, but I've never lost an election. I've never lost an election. I don't mind. I don't mind power groups campaigning against me. That just is like an extra cup of coffee to me, folks. It just gets me more excited. I'm 8-0, and I promise.
But would you have voted for the Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
We can't trust her in the Senate.
Test, right? I can give a test. These are 3 questions to ask yourselves. 1, do you want a you're fired president or a you're hired president? Of course you want a you're hired president. Donald Trump is the you're fired guy. That's what he's known for. And when this whole campaign is done and everybody's forgotten, the one thing they will remember about Donald Trump is you're fired. Bankrupting companies, shipping jobs overseas, stiffing contractors, being against federal minimum wage, being against equal pay for equal work. He's the you're fired guy. Hey, we've got a you're hired president. A you're hired president. Let's do debt-free college so people can have skills. Let's build bridges and roads and airports and ports so people can have jobs. Let's go for equal pay. Let's raise the minimum wage. Let's bring back the dignity and respect of work. You're hired, President. All right. You're 1 for 1. Question 2. Do you want a trash-talking president or a bridge-building president? Of course you do. Donald Trump trash talks folks with disabilities. Trash talks Mexican Americans and Latinos, whether new immigrants or governors or federal judges. Trash talks women. Trash talks our assholes. The military a disaster. Oh, you're right. He doesn't trash talk everybody. He likes Vladimir Putin. You're right. Let's get that straight. But this is a bridge builder president. As a member of the Armed Services Committee, built great ties with our military and military families. As a Secretary of State, made history building our relationships around the world and putting central to U.S. foreign policy the treatment of women and children around the world. She's a bridge builder, and that's what we need. And last, all right, Florida International, you're 2 for 2. So here's number 3. Do you want a me first president or a kids and families first president? Of course. With Donald Trump, it's me first. I'm not showing you my tax return.
But would you have voted for the Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
We can't trust her in the Senate.
Of course, me first. But we got a kids and families first president. Who from her earliest days has been, and I'll tell you something, I'm going to give you a secret about those of us in politics. If you want to try to judge the character of somebody, I'll tell you how to do it. And it's really simple. Look at their life and see if they have a passion in their life that they had long before they got into politics. A passion that's not about themselves. A passion that's about somebody else. And then see if they have held on to that passion through thick or thin, in good times or bad, whether winning elections or losing elections, come hell or high water, look to see if they have a passion that's about somebody else, and look to see whether they've held onto it all the time. And that is character, and that is our kids and families first, Hillary Clinton. All right. When I was a kid growing up, my favorite president was another Kansas City guy, Harry Truman. Great Democratic president. Great Democratic president. And let me tell you something that Harry Truman said that could have been written 5 minutes ago. He said it in the late 1940s. And it's so well put. America was not built on fear. America was built on courage, on imagination, and an determination to do the job at hand. Let me tell you, that's so good. America was not built on fear. America was not built on fear. It was built on courage, on imagination, and on an unbeatable determination to do the job at hand. Friends, Hillary Clinton is filled with that courage, that imagination, and that unbeatable determination, and that's why we trust her to fight for all Americans. That's why I'm with her. That's why I'm with her. Are you with her? That's why.
Would you have voted for the Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
We can't trust her in the Senate.
And they don't come any tougher or any more compassionate than Hillary Clinton. So let's go make history and elect Hillary Clinton the 45th President of the United States.
It's fair to say now we all know why Hillary Clinton picked Tim Kaine to be your vice presidential running mate. He delivered a very, very powerful presentation. The first time most Americans saw him, heard him, and now they appreciated his personal story. He spoke with a lot of passion. He was conversational. Strong defense of Hillary Clinton, a strong attack on Donald Trump. This with some humor and sarcasm, but also underscoring what this campaign is going to be about. Sharp differences between the Democrats and the Republicans. I don't know if he could do any better in his acceptance speech Wednesday night at the Democratic Convention in Philadelphia. This was a speech also that showcased his fluent Spanish, something that really will be helpful out there on the campaign trail. We've got a team of correspondents and analysts standing by to assess everything we just heard. I want to go to Miami right now. Jeff Zelny, you're there on the scene. The crowd loved it, and they certainly loved his Spanish.
No question, Wolf. I think you said it right. He actually raised the bar for his own acceptance speech on Wednesday night. But Tim Kaine introducing himself here today is really showing what a lot of Democrats know, that he is a good communicator. He's likely one of the best communicators in the U.S. Senate, and I think we saw him go from his own biography, though, so seamlessly to his real job here. His real job in this campaign is not to introduce himself. It is to defend and introduce and build up Hillary Clinton. I think the ending part of his speech, the powerful part of his speech, he will be her biggest cheerleader, but more than that, he will be her defender. He will be her validator. I think it's so interesting geographically. His Midwestern roots, so important to this. We heard him talking about his upbringing in Overland Park, Kansas. And then, of course, that key time that he spent in the mission in Honduras that really gave him his values, he said. We also heard his Spanish. Wolf, when he said this, he said, I learned the values of my town, faith, family, and work, the same values of Latinos in this community. This makes even more clear that immigration will be central to this campaign. Now there is a new voice in this debate.
Would you have voted for the Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
We can't trust her in the Senate.
Political correspondent, she's in Miami as well. Brianna, he got emotional when he spoke about gun violence in the United States, the deaths that have occurred, especially at Virginia Tech University. It was the low point in his life. You and I were there. We were covering that story, and we remember how awful it was.
Of it, you know, it was just being amid this giant wound, not just for that school, but really for that state and for the country overall. And that was really the first time that I ever heard Tim Kaine speak or really paid attention to him. He spoke at a memorial service there at the university. George W. Bush, then the president, came and spoke, and he was someone who was a pretty tremendous soother in chief. But he spoke, and while it was a good speech, then Governor Tim Kaine, who had rushed back from a trip to Japan where he was doing official business, he gave a speech. It was a speech that was tremendously healing and reaching out to the community there. It was something that really made your eyebrows go up. It was a really amazing speech. And so while we heard the knock on Tim Kaine being that he is someone who may be boring, or he's a quote-unquote white guy, I think what you saw today was that even though maybe a tap dog isn't the most comfortable position for him, he was still able to do it with some humor. What he really is a very well-spoken cheerleader, and this is why Hillary Clinton tapped him. Yes, he has some vulnerabilities. We've talked about that. He is more moderate. He has favored some restrictions on abortion, late-term abortion ban, with exceptions for the health and life of the mother, certain restrictions on parental consent, for instance. He has supported offshore drilling. Liberal Democrats may not like those things, but he spoke in Spanish very fluently. He told the crowd here that his guiding principles are faith, familia, and trabajo. Faith, family, and work. American supporters. He talked about home church, St. Elizabeth Catholic Church, Richmond, was married almost 3 decades ago to his wife, Anne. This is a predominantly black church in Richmond that he has gone to over the years, and he promised that he's going to show up there tomorrow at 9 a.m. He showed himself, even with certainly, and every vice presidential running mate is going to have some vulnerabilities. He does have some, but he showed himself.
Would you have voted for the Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
We can't trust her in the Senate.
Wednesday night. That speech was really impressive, especially to people out there who were watching who never heard of him and certainly never heard him speak.
You know, also, especially to one very important person, who was Hillary Clinton, sitting behind him.
She was beaming.
We were all remarking, right, as we were watching this, that she seemed so happy and in a way relieved that she has somebody out there to do things that in a way she can't do. I mean, I have never heard a politician talk about his resume, recite his resume in a more personal way, talking about his family, talking about his career, talking about his wife and her life growing up in the governor's mansion in Virginia and being among the first to attend integrated schools in that state. When I looked at this, you know, we can say he's a career politician because he is, but he's also a public servant. You know, he spent his entire life doing these things, and I think he's a joyful politician. However, another thing I would also add is, who raised the tax returns? He raised the tax returns.
Donald Trump's
tax returns. He is going to start talking about why hasn't Donald Trump released his tax returns, and I think he's your secret weapon on that particular issue, and a lot of others, because he can do it.
And he got a lot of applause. Donald Trump says, "Make America Great Again," and Tim Kaine said, "Isn't it great already?" And he got a lot of applause.
He did. Look, I think that now we know, I mean, something that we were saying and I was saying last night, knowing Tim Kaine, he's not boring. But we also know that he's an astute politician because he set expectations really low, calling himself boring, obviously understanding that he can deliver the kind of message that he did today. And, you know, not everybody, even if they have been in politics a long time, can deliver a speech without sounding like you're delivering a speech. It's just talking. Yeah. And that's what he did. I just want to continue focusing on kind of the performance and the stagecraft of this. The other thing that, again, we're right here in these seats doing the same kind of analysis of the Republican rollout last week, where forget about the fact that Donald Trump spoke for a long time about himself before he got to Mike Pence, and Hillary Clinton did the opposite. Just the optics of having Tim Kaine sitting there with Hillary Clinton behind him and vice versa. You saw them both in the shot. You got a sense of the team visually, which cannot be underestimated when you're trying to decide whether or not this is somebody and this is a team you feel comfortable with in your house and living room for 4 years.
And she was so happy.
Yeah, she was happy. In those optics, right? I mean, most people get a lot of their news from local papers, and I think we
But would you have voted for the Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
We can't trust her in the Senate.
Saturday, they wanted to have those optics. They wanted everything to go smoothly. I think it did. And we have been talking about his appeal to African-American voters. He talked about a civil rights record, and Latino voters, his ability to speak Spanish and his background in Honduras. But he's also going to appeal, I think, to suburban white women. I think he'll appeal to working class white voters as well. It feels like it's quite clear to me what the plan for Pence is, and if he trusts, I'm sure he will. But this guy feels like he's ready to go. Tomorrow he can jazz up the
in Spanish. Anna Navarro was emailing me. His accent is nearly perfect in Spanish. Let me play a little.
For the trust that you've placed in me, and we're going to be compañeros de alma in this great lucha ahead.
Significant is the fact that he's fluent in Spanish.
It's very significant, but also the way he's lived his life is significant. The story that he went to Honduras, the story of his church, and how important it is in his life, the story of his faith is also important to lots of voters out there. One thing I want to say is that usually in politics, we have women softening, right? I mean, that's usually the way it is. In this particular case, I think he softens the edges of Hillary Clinton because of the way he tells stories about his life and his family, and you could see her relieved by that, and you could see why she chose it.
Her body language was much more relaxed. She was genuinely beaming. But one thing I want, just to going back to your question about him speaking Spanish, it's not just about him being able to communicate to Latino voters in their native tongue. It's also, like we talked about way back when, Jeb Bush, is that he's culturally fluent in Spanish and the Spanish community. Living in Honduras and coming back and obviously staying in touch with the Latino community. It isn't just being able to talk the talk, it's that he talked about the fact that, as Brianna talked about, it's life, it's family, it's work. It's not just the language, it's the values and the understanding.
And it's his way, I think, too, of being anti-Trump, right? I mean, if you remember, Trump really criticized Bush for speaking Spanish on the trail when they were in that primary fight. He said something like Jeb Bush should set an example and speak English in the U.S. So you sort of wonder what Trump might do with his ability to speak Spanish and the fact that he's going to speak it often.
It was very conversational, his speech, even though it was scripted. There was a teleprompter, but he delivered it in a very, very conversational way. All right, there's a lot more to assess right now. We're going to be getting in reaction from the Trump-Pence campaign as well. Our special coverage continues right after this.
We've got to build the economy for the future. Abundant American oil and natural gas can give us a real leg up. More affordable energy, better jobs, more money for our communities. That's going to work for generations to come. I'm Melanie, and I'm an energy voter.
Falls are the #1 cause of injury to senior citizens. Acorn Stairlift has a solution. Just don't fall. Sit, relax, ride with an Acorn Stairlift, the world's leader in stairlifts. Don't let limited mobility keep you from going up and down your stairs, even outside. Call Acorn Stairlifts now for a free information kit and no obligation quote. Why risk falling when you could safely ride?
Our Acorn Stairlift is definitely more affordable than moving.
The Acorn Stairlift has a padded seat backrest, safety sensors, stop the chair if there are obstacles. The seat swivels and locks so you don't twist your body. And the Acorn Stairlift folds away. It even works through a power shortage.
I was really surprised at how little they cost.
Call 1-611-8027 right now for your free information kit or visit our website today. Call 1-800-611-8027.
Did you notice that there's so many prices out there for the exact same room? I've been asking this a lot lately, but this is what it really means. The same hotel room can have up to 10 different prices across the internet. So even if you spend a lot of time looking around, chances are that it's still out there for a better price. So make one last check before you book. The Trivago check. Trivago compares prices from over 150 websites to make sure you find your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
We make all of our leather goods here by hand. I ended up picking Weebly to build my website because it was super easy to use, very intuitive, fun actually. I like the idea of being my own boss.
Go to Weebly.com today and make your dream big.
Is depression more than sadness? It's a tangle of multiple symptoms. Vortioxetine is a prescription medicine for depression. Trintellix may start to untangle or help improve the multiple symptoms of depression.
For me, Trintellix made a difference.
Tell your healthcare professional right away if your depression worsens or you have unusual changes in mood, behavior, or thoughts of suicide. Antidepressants can increase these in children, teens, and young adults. Trintellix has not been studied in children. Do not take with MAOIs. Tell your healthcare professional about your medications, including migraine, psychiatric, and depression medications. Avoid a potentially life-threatening condition. Increased risk of bleeding or bruising may occur, especially if taken with pain relievers, aspirin, or blood thinners. Manic episodes or vision problems may occur in some people, may cause low sodium levels. The most common side effects are nausea, constipation, and vomiting. Trintellix did not have significant impact on weight. Ask your healthcare professional if Trintellix can make a difference for you.
And can you explain to me why you recommend synthetic over cedar?
Food. Is that a real thing?
It's a great school, but is it the right one for her?
Is it really any better than the one you had last year?
If we consolidate suppliers, what's the savings there?
So should we go with the 467 horsepower?
Or is a 423 enough?
You ask a lot of good questions.
That should move you into our new fund.
Sure.
Okay. But are you asking enough about how your wealth is managed? Wealth management at Charles Schwab.
Hard to believe, but we're leading the world in oil and natural gas production. That means lower energy costs, more growth, more security for Americans. More energy means more opportunity. We just need the right policies to make it happen. I'm Chris, and I'm an energy voter.
Welcome to our special coverage of the Democratic vice presidential announcement. Only moments ago, the Virginia Senator Tim Kaine agreeing to be Hillary Clinton's running mate on the Democratic ticket. He spoke about several important issues: comprehensive immigration reform, gun reform, the economy, and his experience in all those areas. Let's continue to get reaction and analysis. Our policy executive executive editor Mark Preston. He's already in Philadelphia getting ready for the Democratic convention there. Let me play a clip, Mark. This is Tim Kaine, the vice presidential presumptive nominee, speaking about immigration to America.
Put forward a comprehensive immigration reform package that includes a path to citizenship. En el Senado hicimos eso hace casi 3 años y estamos esperando todavía para la Casa de Representantes a tener un debate, un voto en el sistema de inmigración reforma, ¿verdad? Entonces vamos a trabajar juntos en eso en los primeros 100 días de la administración.
So, Mark, I think it's fair to say that the Spanish you're speaking, the focus on comprehensive immigration reform, talking about immigrants becoming U.S. citizens, in marked contrast to some of the themes that have come out from Donald Trump. Let's build a wall along the border, for example, between the U.S. and Mexico. This is going to be a huge, huge area of disagreement in the coming weeks and months.
Huge area, and certainly we see Tim Kaine there, Wolf, trying to drive really that final wedge between Latino voters and Republicans and telling them there's no question you have to support us. Now, Tim Kaine, multidimensional in many ways. He said his Spanish is flawless. He can go now and campaign in Florida. He can also appeal to Hispanic voters out in New Mexico, out in Colorado, 2 key states that will be important in this election. And you know, Wolf, I think as we were all waiting to see Tim Kaine speak, we all had very low expectations of how he was going to deliver. And as Jeff Zeleny said right out of that speech, it's going to be hard for him to top what he did today.
You know, Ron Brownstein is with us as well, our CNN senior political analyst. You're already in Philadelphia as well. What was also moving, Ron, and you can personally relate to this, he spoke about his son who's a Marine. We know that Mike Pence, the Republican vice presidential nominee, has a son who's a Marine. You have a son in the military. This is always a powerful theme to bring forward to the American people.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Wolf. Yes, I think it was one of many ways in which Tim Kaine kind of grounded and humanized himself. I thought a striking aspect of the speech was the way he braided his personal story into the diversity of the modern Democratic Party, not only the fluent speaking Spanish, his connection to the civil rights era with his wife, then a young girl, being part of the first generation of white students to integrate schools in Virginia. But he went beyond that, you know, and as you guys have talked about, talking about his blue-collar roots and his Midwestern roots. And it kind of reminded me that Tim Kaine, as Nia said, a candidate who can go into a lot of different places, because Virginia, to win in Virginia at this point, you really do have to be able to speak to kind of the panorama of what America has become. We're accustomed to thinking of Ohio as the tipping point state in American politics. Virginia may actually now be more than a mix of urban and rural, white and non-white, college and blue collar. And the fact that he's been able to succeed so well in Virginia, I think, does set him up to speak across a very diverse palette of battleground places and battleground communities.
And he noted his son, who's a Marine, is about to be deployed to Europe. And he referred to the commitments the United States has to the NATO allies, clearly suggesting that Donald Trump doesn't have that capability to speak about
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. I mean, and you know, the national security Bush endorsed Hillary Clinton. Mark Salter, who was for a long time the chief this week, because we see the most conspicuous.
I want to hear what she has to say about what we just heard, what we just saw. Let's take a quick break. Our special coverage continues after this.
Have a look around.
Thank you.
Crazy right now, your love's got me looking so crazy right now. Looking so crazy, your love's got me looking out.
USA Today, available at ring.com and these fine retailers.
The sun used to make our outdoor deck and patio space so hot and uncomfortable we couldn't use it.
But then we discovered the Sunsetter retractable awning. Our Sunsetter retractable awning opens and closes in just 60 seconds. It keeps our patio about 20 degrees cooler.
It provides instant shade and instant protection from sun harmful rays.
And our Sunsetter costs under $700.
But now you can get your Sunsetter for as little as $499 when you call now to get this special $200 discount certificate.
We our Sunsetter retractable awning, and you're going to love yours too.
Call now for this free awning idea kit packed with great awning solutions. Plus, get this $200 discount certificate that will bring you your Sunsetter for as little as $499.
But this is a limited time offer. Call now.
Sunsetter retractable awnings are assembled in America and are guaranteed to last for years.
And talk about extras. You can choose from motorized awnings for push-button opening and closing.
Hundreds of thousands of families own and love their Sunsetter retractable awnings. We're one of them, and you should be too.
Stay cooler.
And do it all at $200 off if you call now.
Call now for your free awning idea kit with local dealer info and $200 discount certificate. Life is better under a Sunsetter. Call now and save.
1-800-771-8879.
Get on island time with IHOP Super Paradise Pancakes. Try pineapple upside down, strawberry passion fruit, or banana macadamia nut.
Stop and smell the pineapple.
Take a tropical break with new Paradise Pancakes and come together over breakfast at IHOP.
That bumper's not going anywhere. We could just have more tape. Gorilla Tape, of course.
Gorilla Tape's double thick adhesive and rugged outer shell is 3 times thicker for a hold that lasts for the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
If you have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, isn't it time to let the real you shine through? Introducing Otezla, a Premolast. Otezla is not an injection or a cream. It's a pill that treats plaque psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clearer skin is achievable after just 4 months, with reduced redness, thickness, and scaliness of plaques. And the Otezla prescribing information has no requirement for routine monitoring. Don't take Otezla if you are allergic to any of its ingredients. Otezla may increase the risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Side effects may include diarrhea, nausea, upper respiratory tract infection, and headache. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Ask your dermatologist about Otezla today. Otezla. Show more of you.
You don't let anything keep you sidelined. That's why you drink Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. For the strength and energy to get back to doing what you love. Ensure. Always be you.
Welcome back to our special coverage of the Democratic vice presidential announcement. We just heard the introduction of Tim Kaine, vice presidential presumptive nominee on the Democratic side. Hillary Clinton introduced him. He then went on to deliver a 38-minute address. Very impressive to a lot of people who have never heard or seen him before. We're going to get to see a lot more of him down the road, including this week at the Democratic Convention in Philadelphia. He'll speak Wednesday night accepting the nomination for vice president, the vice presidential nomination. Hillary Clinton will speak Thursday night accepting the Democratic presidential nomination. Scott Hughes, she's a CNN political commentator, a Donald Trump supporter. I'm really anxious, Scotty, to hear your reaction. What did he do?
Well, I think he actually did great. I think he had some great energy. He definitely was just as casual as his wardrobe. He made everybody feel at ease. That was probably one of the first times I've seen Hillary Clinton actually relax and kind of enjoy her own event. So I think that was a good thing. I think what was great about this speech coming from the Republicans is this is really, once again, dividing what the difference in the platforms are between Republicans and Democrats. And if you take all of the kind of, the mudslinging across the board, you actually look at the principles between the two. You have got one side that actually says, that I'm with her. And like Mr. Trump said, it's I'm going to put America first. You talk about immigration, where it's about all Americans is the proposals of the Republicans. And this is about actually sitting there and continuing to divide us. I appreciate him having multicultural and speaking Spanish. I think that's a great idea. And we can all bring out our languages. Melania could come out and speak her 5 different languages as well. But what Mr. Trump did, he spoke in a language that all Americans can understand. That is English. And that is one good thing that I thought that was a great thing that, we I have to get a translator for anything that was going on at the RNC this week. And I'm hoping I'm not going to have to kind of start brushing up back on my Dora the Explorer to understand some of the speeches given this week. I think that right there, that was probably one of the things that stuck out for me. And I think once you start actually comparing records to records and who wants a pathway to amnesty and who wants actually to secure our borders and protect our citizens, Trump, illegals cost our country $113 billion per year. That's money we don't have. That's money that could go back into our urban areas, revitalize our schools, put some of these folks back to work, could help our seniors. But instead, we're spending them on illegals that are coming across the border right now. And that's all Americans want right now. We want to open up. We give more than probably any other country in the world. But let's take care of our citizens first. Let's make sure they're going back to work before we support all these others that might not even be contributing to the system.
Scotty, I want you to listen to this clip. This is Tim Kaine speaking just moments ago, and then we'll discuss. Listen to this.
From Atlantic City to his so-called university, he leaves a trail of broken promises and wrecked lives wherever he goes. We can't afford to let him do the same thing to our country. And folks, we don't have to, because Hillary Clinton is the direct opposite of Donald Trump.
As you know, Scott, we're going to be hearing a lot more of those kinds of attack lines in Philadelphia in the coming days. It's going to be very, very intense. Is the Trump campaign and the Republican Party ready for this?
I think they are. Obviously, last week there was a lot of definitely some of those same things coming from the Republicans aimed at Hillary, going back and forth. And you know, you want to look at the numbers of it. Trump University, they're going to continue the case. The judge is going to continue his case until November. And then you also look at, you know, the direct businesses, 4 out of over 500, less than probably 1% of businesses Mr. Trump started. You know what? He built something. And I think that's the message you're going to see. He actually created jobs, more than 30,000 jobs. He built things. And then you want to sit there and talk about things in the wake, things left behind. Well, at least it's not body bags and lies to mothers, as we showed last week, that many of these mothers still have not gotten the apology from Hillary Clinton after she told a lie about what happened to their children.
I want to get a reaction from CNN commentator Bakari Sellers. He's a Democrat. He's a supporter of Hillary Clinton. Bakari, there was another important line he delivered in his remarks. Let me play this clip for you.
That was the worst day of my life. Hillary and I will not rest. Will not rest. We will not rest until we will not rest. We won't rest. We won't rest until we get background checks and close loopholes that put guns in the hands of criminals, terrorists, and dangerous people who should not have them.
Bakari, the issue of guns is going to be a stark difference between the Democratic ticket and the Republican ticket, and we got a little taste of that right there.
Well, yes, Wolf, and whether or not you're talking about Virginia Tech when Senator Kaine was then governor, whether or not you're talking about Charleston when I lost my good friend Clemente Pinckney, or whether or not you're talking about Orlando where we just had an attack on homosexual Hispanics, this is an issue that's near and dear to the heart of many. And I think even more importantly, we know that Tim Kaine stood up to the NRA. And when you put it in its entire context, he stood up to the NRA in a southern state. And I think that type of courage is remarkable. And not only that, I was speaking with Mayor Nutter off air. We were talking about the fact that he's actually had to lead through one of these situations. And it's a glaring contrast to a Mike Pence or Donald Trump. One of the other contrasts that we saw was not just an organizational difference between a week ago, but a chemistry difference. Mike Pence and Donald Trump, I don't know if they necessarily like each other or care for each other, but you could see that there was a natural admiration between Tim Kaine and Hillary Clinton. And last week, in Donald Trump's speech, when he bastardized people of color, when he bastardized Hispanic Americans, when he bastardized Muslims, what you saw today was something totally different. What you saw today was someone who could speak a different language, but not just patronize, but actually reform. My phone's been blowing up. I got a phone call from a good friend of mine after he heard that speech. We're both Democrats. The bar was set really, really low for Tim Kaine. Out of all my years, I can tell you that was my first time actually hear him giving a speech on this platform. And to quote an American classic, Coming to America with Eddie Murphy, that boy was good.
You mentioned Michael Nutter, the former mayor of Philadelphia. He's a CNN political contributor as well. There were a lot of doubters out there among your fellow Democrats, some Bernie Sanders supporters, some liberals, some progressives who had questions about this selection by Hillary Clinton of Tim Kaine as her running mate. You think he went a little bit further today in trying to ease their concerns?
Oh, absolutely, Wolf. And, I've had the opportunity to interact with, at the time, then Chairman Tim Kaine, and have watched him over the years. So I did not have low expectations for him, but I've been watching and listening to what folks have been saying. Clearly today, hit it out of the park. That was a spectacular presentation of himself. Very comfortable with himself. As Bakari said, the clear chemistry between Senator Kaine and Secretary Clinton, and they're going to be a dynamic team all across the United States of America. I do want to make one point here, especially in Philadelphia, something that was said earlier. Many people do speak English, many people speak other languages here in the United States of America, but everyone does not speak English. And right here in Philadelphia, there are many Philadelphians who don't. They should not be disrespected or criticized about whether or not they speak English or not. And that's very, very important here in Philadelphia, but all across the United States of America. So people speak whatever language they speak. They're here in this country. They want to be Americans if they're not already, and we should be providing that opportunity for them, not demonizing them or trying to kick them out.
Mayor, listen to Hillary Clinton speaking in introducing Tim Kaine before he actually went to the microphone. Listen to this.
Donald Trump may think America's in decline, but he's wrong. America's best days are still ahead of us, my friends. And when he says, as he did say, I alone can fix it, he's not only wrong, he's dangerously wrong. We Americans, we solve problems together. And if Donald doesn't understand that, he doesn't understand America.
So, Mayor, when I heard her going after Donald Trump like that, you know what? It reminded me to a certain degree, 16 other Republican presidential candidates, most of them, they similarly went after Donald Trump for months and months, for a year, and he decisively captured that Republican presidential nomination. He thinks he's got a winning streak. He thinks he's doing it right. Why do you think that Hillary Clinton will succeed against him where all these other Republicans failed?
Well, one, Trump is wrong about that. And second, he doesn't know Hillary Clinton. He does not know how tough she is. She's a very different kind of candidate. I was frightened, quite honestly, when I heard him make the pronouncement that declared, I am the great I am. And only he can do certain things. That is very, very frightening. And it's messianic in its tone and tenor. So I don't know what he's talking about other than he's just running his mouth. Secretary Clinton is a very seasoned candidate. She knows what she's doing. She's a candidate of substance. I'll give you the details on what she's talking about, and details actually matter. Donald Trump generally, on most instances, is just running his mouth about himself.
Everyone stand by. Our special coverage will continue and more right after this.
For the 5 million Americans living with Alzheimer's and the millions more who feel its effects, let's walk together to make an even bigger impact and end Alzheimer's for good. Find a walk near you at alz.org/walk.
If you're running a business, LegalZoom has your back. Over the last 10 years, we've helped 1 million business owners get started. Visit LegalZoom today for the legal help you need to start and run your business. LegalZoom. Legal help is here.
Look at all these purchases you made with your airline credit card. Hold on, you only got double miles on stuff you bought from that airline? Let me show you something better. The Capital One Venture Card. With Venture, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase, not just airline purchases. Every purchase, everywhere, every day. No, really, double miles on all of them. In your wallet.
I would like to take a moment to address my fellow veterans, because I know there are so many of you who have served your country honorably, whether it's 2 years, 4 years, or 32 years like myself. One of the benefits that we as a country give you as a veteran is your eligibility for a VA loan. Not 80%, but 100% the value of your home, and that's what you can get at New Day USA.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-855-277-2196. It's a new day for veterans who want to refinance.
That's me.
The New Day 100 VA loan lets you refinance your mortgages, consolidate your credit card debt, get cash, and lower your payments an average of $640 a month. New Day will even pay for your appraisal.
That's me.
As a vet, you've earned the right to apply for a home loan that's VA guaranteed. For veterans who want to refinance, that can mean a lot.
That's me.
Call New Day USA now at 1-855-277-2196.
Closed captioning brought to you by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today.
Did you know people can save over $100 when they switch to Progressive? I got your nose. I got your nose right here. I know that's your thumb, Grandpa. Talent, learn about it.
We want to write the next chapter in American greatness.
The Democratic National Convention. Live coverage starts Monday at 4 on CNN.
My name is Sergeant Isaiah Stratton. What inspires me to serve? People in my hometown, like Hugh Wilson. The man's my hero. Arthritis, 2 titanium hips, stop him from doing what he believes in. That's what inspires me to do what I believe in.
From our 9/11 hero run to putting character to action in your community, discover how you can honor the fallen by challenging the living.
Thank you.
Visit travismanion.org.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
Who do you talk to for military advice right now?
Well, I watch the shows. I mean, I really see a lot of great, when you watch your show and all of the other shows.
While Donald Trump watched TV as Secretary of State Hillary Clinton negotiated a ceasefire in Gaza, a reduction in nuclear weapons, took on Vladimir Putin, and stood up against the trafficking of human beings. A steady leader in an unsteady world.
I'm Don Lemon. This is CNN.
Welcome back to our special coverage of the Democratic vice presidential announcement. We just heard Tim Kaine after Hillary Clinton introduced him as her vice presidential running mate. He delivered a very, very rousing, passionate speech, very conversational, introducing himself to the American public, and it was clear to a lot of people why she selected him after hearing those 38 minutes of his speech. Gloria Borger's with us still. Gloria, Hillary Clinton had these words, very significant words, in introducing the Virginia senator.
Senator Tim Kaine is everything Donald Trump and Mike Pence are not. He is qualified to step into this job and lead on day one. And he is a progressive who likes to get things done. That's just my kind of guy, Tim.
Keyword progressive. She's clearly reaching out to Bernie Sanders supporters, Elizabeth Warren supporters, and saying, this guy's like you. He's a progressive.
He passes the test. He should clearly pass your progressive test, because they're very well aware that, of course, on issues like trade, he has in the past disagreed with Bernie Sanders, although he seems to be having somewhat of a campaign conversion on the trade issue.
On the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Right, exactly. So she's kind of reaching out and saying, look, he's my guy, And he's got to be your guy. And I think, quite honestly, after this speech today, I don't see how they would have any complaints about him, Wolf.
Yeah, the progressives.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they will.
They will.
Yeah.
They will, because it's Wall Street, it's
he's a new
trade.
Democrat, right?
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, he's a Democrat in the mold of Bill Clinton, in the mold of Obama.
A DLC.
Yeah, a DLC, exactly.
Right. The question is compared to what, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, exactly right. Exactly right. And he also is somebody who, if you are a purist when it comes to abortion issues on the left, will not be entirely thrilled with him. But big picture, again, the question is whether it's those voters that the Clinton campaign is worried about. Clearly not as much as reaching out beyond their base to try to get a coalition to win.
And he's going to try to underscore his national security identity. He did it referring to his son, who's a Marine. Listen to this.
Our oldest son, Nat, is here today with his fiance. He's a proud Marine. And in just a few days, he's deploying to Europe to uphold America's commitment to our NATO allies.
It's significant because Donald Trump has been critical of NATO, that the allies are not stepping up and paying enough of their share.
Right. For that reason, the fact that he mentioned NATO was no accident, because, as you said, it's his not so subtle way of suggesting that Donald Trump doesn't get it when it comes to being commander-in-chief, and many of his fellow Republicans have said so. But I think even more important than that, he was presenting himself as part of a military family, frankly, no one else on the ticket on either side. I'm saying this as I think. I don't think.
First time since John McCain that none of the presidential or vice presidential candidates themselves served in the military.
Correct. But at least he can say that he understands, again, the culture and the sacrifice and what it means to
and Mike Pence has a son who's a U.S. Marine as well.
Which he mentioned as well during his acceptance speech. I thought what was so great about this and clever was him, as you said, presenting his personal life, but also digging at Donald Trump. I think he's going to be very effective. I mean, it's an attack they want to make. It didn't seem mean, and it was also, let me tell you about myself. So I thought it was a cleverly written line.
Hillary Clinton?
Yeah.
Let me tell you why she is such a public servant and how she has devoted her to helping other people not getting ahead. Now, the Republicans would argue with that, but not enriching herself is what he would say. But Republicans would argue with that. But he was a, very good character witness for Hillary Clinton.
Very quickly, Mark Preston, you're in Philadelphia already getting ready for the start of the convention, which is on Monday. As I said earlier, he's going to have a tough time doing better Wednesday night than he did today. This was a pretty powerful, impressive presentation.
Yeah, quite a rollout for Tim Kaine. Wolf, and I got to tell you, I was laughing beforehand thinking about what the vice presidential debate is going to look like. Mike Pence and Tim Kaine, two folks that are not considered very dynamic, but you know what? They're also very, very smart. They understand policy, and when those two face off fall, it will be interesting to hear how each of them try to sell to the voters how the Republican or the Democratic Party is the best party to lead the nation. I do think that the expectation game on that is going to be very, very interesting.
Now let me get Scotty to weigh in. Scotty Hughes, our CNN political commentator, Donald Trump supporter. What do you think of that upcoming debate? There's going to be one vice presidential debate, 3 presidential debate. Those are going to be pretty lively.
I think whatever it doesn't make up for entertainment value, I think we're going to see a lot of policy discussed, and that's what a lot of people on both sides of the aisle, Wolf, have been screaming about. They want more policy. They want to get to know the candidates better, their positionings, and I guarantee there's no two better surrogates for that than actually these two candidates that both of the presidential leaders have picked.
They're both impressive. Mike Pence spent many years in the U.S. House of Representatives. He's now a governor of Indiana, and Tim Kaine served as governor of Virginia. Now he's been in the Senate. He's also a former mayor of Richmond, Virginia. Bakari Sellers, our CNN commentator, Hillary Clinton supporter, he's still with us as well. What's your biggest fear right now going forward? Because you're in Pennsylvania, you're in Philadelphia. That's a battleground state. It's going to be close there.
Well, I think it's going to be close, but I think what we saw today is that the battle lines have been drawn. Look, in Politico on April 30th, I actually came out and said that there shouldn't be 2 white people at the top of the ticket. I felt like diversity was the key in the path to 270. I think that today Tim Kaine soothed all fears I may have and proved wrong. I can actually admit here on national TV that I was wrong with that sentiment, because what we saw today in just studying Tim Kaine and learning that he's a champion for civil rights and immigration reform all weaved into one, plus the excellent communicator that he is, it's going to be an interesting discussion that we have. Last week we saw the demonization of certain cultures in this community, even comparing Spanish to Dora the Explorer, where today we're actually seeing that we are one country trying to bring people together, and it's going to be an exciting time from this point forward.
Mike Sutter is with us, the former mayor of Philadelphia. You believe, Mayor, that it's possible Hillary Clinton could lose Pennsylvania? Donald Trump would carry your state?
No. There's no possibility that Donald Trump will win Pennsylvania. Hillary Clinton is very well known in Pennsylvania, loved in Pennsylvania, and certainly again what Bakari said, when Tim Kaine comes to Philadelphia, to Pittsburgh, to Pennsylvania, there's going to be that much more excitement. Pennsylvania, increasingly purple during the course of an election, and then becomes blue right at the end. So it'll be close. Hillary Clinton's going to win.
We'll see what happens in those key Philadelphia suburbs, as they say. People will be watching all of that. I want to thank everyone for all of the special coverage around this vice presidential announcement. That's it for me. Thanks very much for watching. Poppy Harlow will pick up our special coverage. She's there. She's at the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia. She'll pick up our coverage right after this.
It's a golden opportunity to discover that in a Lexus SUV, there's no such thing as adverse conditions.
Blue sky, smiling at me.
Nothing but blue skies do I see.
Blue days, all of them gone. Nothing but blue skies from now on.
For a limited time, get some of our best offers of the year at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. This is the pursuit of perfection.
This is what you woke up for. This is your Peloton. This is your instructor, Robin. Robin is not going to go easy on you. This is you attacking the hill, crushing the flats, climbing your way through the pack. This is how you make a better day for yourself and your family, here in your home. This is Peloton.
Mary buys a little lamb, one of millions of orders on this company's servers, accessible by thousands of suppliers and employees globally. But with cyber threats on the rise, Mary's data could be under attack. With the help of AT&T and security that senses and mitigates cyber threats, their critical data is safer than ever, giving them the agility to be open and secure. Because no one knows and like AT&T.
The average American visits about 7 different websites booking a hotel. I totally get that. We want to make sure that we get a great hotel for the best price. But why only 7 when there are so many more out there? Next time, before you book, check on Trivago. Trivago compares live prices from more than 150 different websites to make sure that you find the best price for your ideal hotel. Hotel Trivago.
Ace is a place with the helpful hardware, folks.
How far does it spray? Why would anybody want to duck? How do you unglue?
There's nothing better than helping kids. That's why ACE supports Children's Miracle Network hospitals.
Ace is the place where you can help us help kids. While we're helping you, that's a lot of help.
This Saturday only, donate $5 to your local CMN hospital at your neighborhood ACE and get the 5-gallon bucket plus 20% off almost anything that fits inside.
We want to write the next chapter in American greatness. We stand together, we will rise together.
4 big
I'm so proud to endorse Hillary Clinton as the next
unmatched access.
You will always have a seat at the table when I am in the White House.
The Democratic National Convention. Live coverage starts Monday at 4 on CNN.
This is our Graze Box. It's a great way to snack.
Fresh, tasty, and created using only the best ingredients. Choose from our range of over 90 delicious snacks. We'd like to invite you to .com and we'll send a free box directly to your office or home. It may even help you keep your hand out of the cookie jar.
Go to Graze.com and enter the code SNACK76 for a free box.
Graze.com. Snacking. Reinvented.
With an eye like a hawk, he never misses a pitch. It's no wonder they call him Golden Eagle. He is a professional baseball player. Watch it. With MLB Network on Xfinity, gets 5 live games a week, plus live look-ins every single night. And with X1, he can see detailed stats right on his TV. Become a pro fan with MLB Network on Xfinity X1 from Comcast. Upgrade to get MLB Network, plus so much more. Call or go online today.
The Democratic National Convention live coverage starts Monday at 4 on CNN.
Welcome to our special live coverage live here in Philadelphia. What a day it has been. You are watching CNN special live coverage of Hillary Clinton's march towards history at the Democratic National Convention right here in Philadelphia. Her newly minted running mate, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, now officially by her side.
I think being the first woman president would be quite a change from the presidents we've had up until this point. I'm running because I have a lifetime of experience in getting results and fighting for people. I'm a progressive, but I'm a progressive who likes to get things done. The issue of your email practices. I didn't have to turn over anything. Like with a cloth or something?
The American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn email.
All anyone wants to talk about is Donald Trump. Isn't he the one that's like, you're all losers?
I have just one word for Mr. Trump. Basta. Enough.
Well, I think the only card she has is the woman's card.
If fighting for women's health care and paid family leave and equal pay is playing the woman's card, then deal me in.
We are stronger together. Let's go out and make that case
to America. There you have it. Welcome to Philadelphia, folks. The city famous for the Declaration of Independence, the beautiful Liberty Bell, and oh yes, those famous steps that Rocky Balboa ran up those iconic stairs. Well, here, in just 2 days from now, this city will play host to another historic event, the first Democratic National Convention with a woman at the top of the ticket. And now we know who Hillary Clinton's running mate will be. It is Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, the battleground state politician. He also, as put in full display today, speaks fluent Spanish, something he put to use time and time again in his announcement today. Listen.
Y bienvenidos a todos. Bienvenidos a todos.
My colleague Brianna Keeler was at the event today in Miami. She joins me now live. I mean, Brianna, where do we begin? What an impassioned set of remarks. He seemed sort of near tears when he talked about gun control, and he kept saying progressive. We are the progressive ticket, Brianna.
That's right. And you know, part of that, to that point of him saying that we are the progressive ticket, speaks to what is going to be his vulnerability, but perhaps also his strength. The fact that liberal Democrats, he might leave something to be desired. Positions on abortion that aren't right with what liberals would want, supporting some parental consent, late-term abortion ban with an exception for the life and health of the mother. He's even supported offshore drilling, so that's not going to speak to a lot of Democrats on the left, Poppy, but polls are showing those folks, many of whom supported Bernie Sanders, are moving over to Hillary Clinton. So the big concern for campaign was getting someone who could not only a broad appeal, but also help her when it comes to moderate. She has struggled with white males. That's an area Donald Trump can exploit in Pennsylvania and Ohio, and they think that Tim Kaine is someone who can help with that. And today, for a guy who the knock on him was that he was boring, he showed with this speech that he was anything but in what was his first chance to really introduce himself to so many people. Here's part of what he said.
Live. I've been able to see how government works and how sometimes it doesn't, from just about every perspective. And I've always believed that however you serve, what matters is whether you actually deliver results for people. And that's been my goal. That's been my goal in every position I've ever held. Now, I know for a lot of you, this might be the first time you're hearing me speak. And hey, let me be honest, for many of you, this is the first time you've even heard my name. But that's okay, because I'm excited for us to get to know one another.
And if it's any indication, Poppy, how Tim Kaine was received by this audience speaking in Spanish, then he's going to be able to make certainly some headway, as much as it matters for the vice presidential pick, with Hispanic supporters of Hillary Clinton. He, time and time again, as you said, spoke Spanish. He told the folks here that his guiding principles are fe, familia, and trabajo, faith, family, and work, to a lot of applause that he got today.
Yeah. Brianna Keeler, live for us in Miami. Bree, thank you so much. Let's talk about all of this with my panel. And you know, it's interesting, when he did come out, he said, welcome to everyone in Spanish, sort of the first words out of his mouth. So let's talk about it with the panel. Executive editor for CNN Politics, Mark Preston, who's with us. Ryan Nobles is also with us, national correspondent for CNN News Source and covered Kaine in his home state. Also with us, Michael Nutter, the former mayor of this great city of Philadelphia, and Scotty Nell Hughes, national political commentator for USA Radio Networks and a Trump supporter. Mark, let's begin with you. Look, there are a few ways that you can utilize a second language in a speech. How well did he do?
He did excellent. I mean, the fact that he was able to weave it in at certain points, but not overdo it, I think says a lot. Look, he has an interesting job ahead of him, right? In the sense that he will be Hillary Clinton's chief defender. Okay, he doesn't have to be the chief attack dog. I think we're going to see Elizabeth Warren take on that role, perhaps Bernie Sanders as well. But he's also going to be somebody who tries to reach out to the Hispanic community in a way to drive up the numbers of the Hispanic votes in key states.
Only 40% of the Hispanic electorate came to the polls. They need and want a lot more than that. How effective can he be in getting that?
I also think we shouldn't overemphasize. I mean, he is not himself Latino, okay? He's not Hispanic himself. So let us not overstate that. I just think that it is helpful for him to be able to go into communities and to speak that language. At the same point, though, he's also going to have to go into communities and speak to white men who are not behind Hillary Clinton, where she has a big problem with. But he could perhaps go into a state like Georgia. We haven't talked about Georgia yet, where he could go in and talk to white men in Georgia at the same time talking to big pockets of Hispanics in that state.
And is this, Mayor Nutter, is this the Clinton camp making the calculus that getting those white male votes is more important to them than getting liberal Sanders supporter votes that they didn't have? Because although he and she today kept pounding on the word progressive, he is more centrist.
Well, I think the first issue is that she has a running mate who can govern, who knows how to make decisions. The person she's going to have to work with for at least 4 years, possibly 8.
But did they make that calculation?
I'm sure it was a part of the overall calculation. You take a lot of things into consideration for the vice presidential pick, and you can't deny, geography, access, communities you can talk to. All of those are factors, but governing has to be number one.
Let's take a look for our viewers, and Scotty, I want you to look at this as a Trump supporter especially. So we're going to show you the two rollouts, right? Miami Beach, they come out together, sort of hand in hand, and then we'll pull over you. Last Saturday, Donald Trump comes out, speaks for 28 minutes on his own before he brings Pence out. Scotty Nell, to you, your take on the Tim Kaine rollout versus your man's rollout.
I think they're different styles. I mean, there's no doubt, and that's kind of a, but they are still kind of the same team. They all have the same goal of uniting the people and engaging the people within their party, whether it's through celebrating diversity or whether it's through the actual plans and proposals. I think what we saw today between the two differences, one party that wanted to speak as everybody as one, where everybody can understand that wanted to unite our country. We have such visions right now. We can celebrate diversity and America great, but we also need to find ways that unifies us, and I think that was something that came out in Mr. Trump's Trump and Mike Pence's speech. What we saw today was just a way that spoke to just certain people, and I think that's the problem we have in America today. We keep just speaking to certain people and leaving others out. And I think so between the two, and I think Mr. Trump did his out the way. Continue if he stayed on stage, as we saw with what happened with Ted Cruz, The attention was always going to be on him. That's just how he is. He is larger than life. So he stepped off to give Mike Pence the spotlight. And we've been together plenty since.
I want you guys to, let's consider this, and Ryan, to you, because you covered him so closely in the state of Virginia. Donald Trump knocking Kaine, right? He's already come out and given him a nickname, Corrupt Kaine. The camp released this statement, the Trump camp. Let's pull it up. It's only fitting that Hillary Clinton would select an ethnically challenged insider like Tim Kaine, who's personally benefited from the rigged system. While serving in government, Kaine has taken tens of thousands of dollars in freebies, more than $160,000 in fact, on free vacations, free clothes, and free tickets. This statement goes on, referring to Kaine as Crooked Kaine. It is so important for us to put this in context of what's legal in the state, what's not legal. So tee it up for us.
Right. Well, certainly it's a vulnerability because of the optics. It doesn't look good, but there's not really a lot of substance behind the attack. And I can tell you that, having covered not only Tim Kaine, but Bob McDonnell, who was convicted on similar charges after the fact. And simply, Tim Kaine was never actually accused of linking the gifts that he received toward any official government action. No one's ever accused him of that. All the
Meaning
gifts
he didn't help anyone in return for gifts.
Exactly. All the gifts that he received were completely legal under Virginia law. A big chunk of them, more than $100,000, were actually his payment for making political trips for people like Barack Obama. So, to a certain extent, Kaine, what he was responsible to do during his time as Virginia governor, and for instance, the one that everyone attacks him for is the $18,000 Caribbean vacation home, which was basically a friend of his and Mark Warner, the senator who serves with him in Virginia, offering him the use of that Caribbean home. And that was the value that Kaine decided to assign to it.
And that's not the picture he painted of himself today, talking about being the son of a welder, saying as family you help family, you get up before dawn and you go help in the iron shop, etc. But Mark Preston, to you, I want your thoughts on that. But also, this is a guy who called himself boring. Right. And then you've got Elizabeth Warren on the other end of it, who many thought perhaps Clinton would tap, and she takes on Donald Trump. Did she miss a chance in not tapping Warren, or did Tim Kaine just prove to the world that he's not so boring?
No, he's certainly boring, and there's something to be said about embracing your inner self and doing it in a self-deprecating way. So I do think Tim Kaine coming out there and saying, listen, I'm not flashy, sorry, I am who I am, I think that's endearing to people, quite frankly. Had he come out and been flat, then the idea of boring would be a capital B right now. We would say that this guy doesn't have the charisma, he's not going to be good on the campaign trail. What he did today is give us some idea of what he could be like on the campaign trail. But as far as the gifts go, Republicans perhaps benefit from this if they are able to use it strategically. And when I mean that, I think if they try to attack Tim Kaine in a shotgun blast and just keep on talking about it and shooting it out there, that's not going to work. It's going to get lost in the white noise. However, if they're strategically able to take that message and put it into certain pockets of voters in certain states, try to drive up that white male vote that is right now not with Hillary Clinton, it could be effective. But to Ryan's point, who has spent more time covering Tim Kaine than any of us here, it wasn't ethically challenged of him doing it, but it doesn't matter. Can they see it politically?
It matters how people read it. Right. All right, we're going to all stay here. We're going to take a quick break because, Scotty, I want more of your take on this, especially when he said you better watch out, talking about your man, Donald Trump. Much more ahead. And also this, a reminder, do not miss CNN's live coverage of the Democratic National Convention. It all begins right here on Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll be right back. Also ahead, hacked emails raising questions about whether the DNC was really neutral in the primary race, the shocking messages about trying to undercut Bernie Sanders, and did a German gunman in Munich lure his victims with a fake Facebook post? The new details we're learning about the rampage that left 9 people dead, most of those victims teenagers. Also this ahead this hour, security a huge concern in the run-up here to the convention in Philadelphia. Coming up, a look at how police are bracing for an additional 50,000 people to descend on this city this week. All ahead.
It's a whole new kind of workout. It's cycling, weights, resistance. You want something more? You have to be in the water. There's Fit. and their Speedo fit. Get more at SpeedoUSA.com.
Those new glasses?
They are. Do I look smarter?
Yeah, a little. You're making money now. Are you investing?
Well, I've been doing some research.
Let me introduce you to our broker.
How much does he charge?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you get your fees back if you're not happy? Wow, you're laughing.
That's not the way the world works.
Well, the world's changing.
Asking enough questions about the way your wealth is managed? Wealth Management at Charles Schwab.
If you need advice for your business, LegalZoom has your back. Our trusted network of attorneys has provided guidance to over 100,000 people just like you. Visit LegalZoom today for legal help you can count on. LegalZoom. Legal help is here.
I think when people hear about memory care, they're scared. They think that it's sad. I think it's important for everyone to know that there's so much more to memory support than the stigmas that you hear about, that these residents still have lives and their lives still matter and that they are still living their lives, that they're not locked away and that they still have a lot to live for. You know, they have people that care about them and they have people that love them. And I love them, so.
Call now to find out how we can put our 30 years of understanding to work for your loved one today.
Hainan Airlines now flies direct to China from 6 North American cities. And with over 60 internal flight destinations, Hainan Airlines connects you with the must-see attractions on your China travel bucket list. Experience the mystery, majesty, and magic of China. Whatever you discover, choose Hainan Airlines. Your journey is our pleasure.
Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. The cow jumped over the moon and quickly flew back to Earth, landing on the roof of a Dutch colonial. Luckily, Geico recently helped the resident with homeowners insurance. They were able to get the roof repaired like new. They later sold the cow because they had all become lactose intolerant. Call Geico and see how much you could save on homeowners insurance.
Don't you dare follow your dreams. Think big. Or demand your own space. Don't you dare leave it all behind. Don't you dare ask what's next. Introducing the first ever Cadillac XT5.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. That's why we offer this free book. Call 1-800-400-5415.
Welcome back. Just as the Democratic National Convention gets underway here and Democrats get ready to gather in Philadelphia, a potential bombshell. WikiLeaks, the online file sharing site, released 20,000 hacked emails today from the DNC. The real key here at issue is that these leaked emails include a few where staffers discuss possible ways it looks like to undercut fellow Democrat Bernie Sanders during the campaign, and that the back and forth about this was ongoing between Clinton and Sanders, and now these emails show, at the very least, bad optics. Let's talk about this with CNN's Chris Freites, who's been following them. Look, CNN, I should note, has not been able to independently verify these emails, but what is making headlines doesn't look good, right? It looks like collusion among some to undercut Sanders' campaign.
Yeah, Poppy, it's really going to fuel that tension that we've seen for months now. Remember, Bernie Sanders and his top aides have complained that the DNC under Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman-Schultz was essentially putting its finger on the scale for Hillary Clinton, and these new emails are really sure to add fuel to that fire. Take this one from May 13th, just days after Sanders wins West Virginia. An aide to Wasserman-Schultz informs her that Sanders' campaign manager, a guy named Jeff Weaver, thinks Sanders should take his fight all the way to the convention floor there in Philadelphia. She responds to that by saying Weaver is, quote, an ass. And a few days later, on May 17th, that same aide tells Wasserman-Schultz that in an interview with CNN, Weaver was asked about violent behavior by Sanders supporters at the Nevada Democratic Convention, and he criticized the Nevada State Party. Wasserman Schultz replies by saying, "Damn liar," particularly scummy that he barely acknowledges the violent and threatening behavior that occurred. Now, it's worth repeating here, Poppy, that CNN has not independently established the email's authenticity, and I've reached out to the DNC, Sanders, and Clinton camps and have not yet gotten a response. But these emails could flare tensions ahead of this week's Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia. They could threaten the truce between Sanders and Clinton. Remember, he essentially agreed to a more progressive party platform in exchange for Sanders dropping his fight to replace Wasserman Schultz as that DNC chair. Republican Donald Trump got in the action a little bit today. He tried to stoke those flames this morning by tweeting about how the emails show the DNC was, planning to destroy Bernie Sanders. And if you're Clinton or some of the other Democrats hoping to unite the party in Philadelphia this week, these leaked emails are really bad news, Poppy.
So if you're the Sanders camp right now, Chris, and I know we've reached out for comment from them and haven't gotten it yet, and you're writing the final words of your remarks that you'll deliver on stage here Monday night at the DNC, how does this affect that, do you think?
Well, certainly they're not happy about it, right? And this is something that we're going to continue to see how it plays out. Both Bernie Sanders and the Clinton camps were set to meet last night to talk this over a little bit. And I've reached out to say, well, does this affect that agreement? Does this put things into tatters going forward? Certainly it's more of an internal machination at this point. This is not something that I think will threaten to spill out onto the floor like we saw in Cleveland with the Republicans and the Never Trump guys. But we really got to wait and see here, Poppy.
Right. Right, so this isn't going to be a cruise moment. I mean, he's already endorsed Clinton, but the question is, how far does he go in pushing voters towards her, especially after these emails came out? All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Coming up next, we're going to turn our attention overseas to the tragic, horrific shooting in Munich. New revelations about the teenager, the 18-year-old, that authorities now say is behind the rampage, has left 9 people dead in Munich.
We said we'd take a look at our retirement plan today.
Not now. Cleaning the oven. It's surprising what people would rather do than deal with retirement.
Ryder watching roses.
Yeah, ready the Lord. With Nationwide, it's no big deal.
Okay, your retirement plan is all set.
Nationwide. Awesome.
Nice neighborhood.
Nationwide is on your side.
Life's events. CustomInc.com. Your designs, quality products, free shipping. Start designing today.
If you have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, isn't it time to let the real you shine through? Introducing Otezla, a Premolast. Otezla is not an injection or a cream. It's a pill that treats plaque psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clearer skin is achievable after just 4 months. Reduced redness, thickness, and scaliness of plaques. And the Otezla prescribing information has no requirement for routine lab monitoring. Don't take Otezla if you're allergic to any of its ingredients. Otezla may increase the risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Side effects may include diarrhea, nausea, upper respiratory tract infection, and headache. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Ask your dermatologist about Otezla today. Otezla. Show more of you.
We stand together. We will rise together.
I am so proud to endorse Hillary Clinton as the member of the United States.
Unmatched access.
You will always have a seat at the table when I am in the White House.
The Democratic National Convention. Live coverage starts Monday at 4 on CNN. Sponsored by VoteForEnergy.org.
Don't miss a provocative
and powerful summer exhibition of contemporary works by the Jamaican-American artist Neri Ward, only at the Barnes Foundation. I'm NBC 10's Tracy Davidson, inviting you to Neri Ward, Sunsplashed. Ward creates immersive sculptures from found objects to tell moving stories about the African-American experience. Dive into Neri Ward, Sunsplash, now through August 22nd at the Barnes. Visit barnesfoundation.org today.
She doesn't understand my physical needs.
I need to be pampered too. Well, let's see what we can work out.
I'm craving some more excitement.
I want to be wined and dined. But you do want to be together, right?
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. There's no reason you both can't have what you want.
Call 877-LIBERTY. Visit one of our 140 store locations nationwide or visit libertytravel.com. Liberty Travel, connecting people and places.
The Democratic National Convention. Live coverage starts Monday at 4 on CNN.
An explosion shaking Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, earlier today. It was 3 separate explosions where suicide bombers killed themselves and 80 other people earlier today. The killers were in the middle of a crowd of peaceful demonstrators there in Kabul, and in addition to murdering 80, 260 others are wounded. ISIS has claimed responsibility. Deadly attacks in Afghanistan have spiked recently since ISIS began losing territory in Iraq and Syria. All right, staying overseas, we've now confirmed the name of the man who opened fire at that shopping mall in Munich, Germany, killing 9 people yesterday. I want to take you straight to Munich, where tonight authorities are learning a lot more about who this individual is, what his motivation may have been. Fred Plechton is live for us there tonight. Show us the picture. I understand we have the name and a new image of the gunman.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Poppy. CNN has been able to independently confirm the identity and the name of the alleged shooter. His name is Ali Sonbali. He's 18 years old. He apparently lived with his father here in Munich. And the police has also found out a lot of other things during the investigation over the past 24 hours. They say, for instance, they found out that he was researching how to conduct rampages online before allegedly perpetrating these acts. They also say that he might have in the past been bullied at certain stages in time, and they're not clear whether or not that might have been something that could have perhaps triggered the rampage that he went on then, of course, on this Friday here in Munich. So certainly a wealth of information that's coming out with the authorities here. One of the things the authorities, however, do say, Poppy, is they say they have no indication that he was in any way, shape, or form radicalized. There was any sort of religious radicalism that had to do with all of this. They say at this point in time, they simply do not see anything like that. They say it seems very likely that he is someone who acted alone, that he shot himself after he went on this rampage. Certainly a wealth of information that is coming out here as this investigation moves forward. But I can tell you at the same time, Poppy, of course, you also have the human aspect to all this. And this certainly is still very much a city mourning here in Munich. I'm going to show over there. There's a makeshift memorial that was put in place, a lot of flowers, a lot of candles. There have been people that have been coming out here throughout the entire day, and it was pouring with rain here. There's people who've been breaking out in tears. That is how emotional people have been. Of course, many people here really still struggling to comprehend what happened and why it had to come to this, Poppy.
And when you look at this new image we've just received of the gunman, 18 years old, looks very, very young. The victims, Fred, are many of them quite young, teenagers. What do we know about them?
Yeah. Very, very, very important point, and certainly something that the authorities are very much looking at as well. They say they believe that it's highly likely that he might have specifically and directly been targeting young people. You know, we saw those horrible images of those videos that surfaced shortly after or as this rampage was still going on, of this person apparently opening fire, and many people saying that he seemed to be directly targeting young people. And it's interesting because I talked to the head doctor at one of the main hospitals here in Munich today, and he said it's something that they saw as well. They say the trauma patients that came in, many of them wounded, some of them also injured in other incidents related to this as well, many of them young people. So there is the belief that he might specifically have been targeting youth.
Unbelievable. Fred Plechton live for us in Munich. Thank you very much. Coming up next, we're going to turn back here to the United States and to politics. And remember this.
Stand and speak and vote your conscience. Vote for candidates up and down the ticket who you trust to defend our freedom.
After Ted Cruz told Republicans to vote their conscience and did not endorse Donald Trump, what does Hillary Clinton need from her former rival Bernie Sanders to avoid a moment, anything like that at the DNC? And how do those email leaks from WikiLeaks potentially change things? Straight ahead.
Oh man, the show's pretty much over. Wish we could start it from the beginning. With DirecTV, you can.
You see, we got the power to turn back time. Let's start over, let's rewind, and let's go back and not quit the gym and have a chance to say goodbye to Grampy and Tim. Oh, that's the power to turn back time.
Get the ultimate all-included bundle. Call 1-800-DIRECTV.
Heartburn comes creeping up on you. Back with relief so smooth and fast. Tums Smoothie starts dissolving the instant it touches your tongue and neutralizes stomach acid at the source. Smoothie only from Tums.
Using 60,000 points from my Chase In card, I bought all the framework, wire, and plans needed to get my shop a face no one will forget.
See what the power of points can do for your business. Learn more at chase.com/ing.
If you have moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis and you're talking to your doctor about your medication, this is Humira. This is Humira helping to relieve my pain and protect my joints from further damage. This is Humira helping me go further. Humira works for many adults. It targets and helps to block a specific source of inflammation that contributes to RA symptoms. Doctors have been prescribing Humira for over 13 years.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB. Hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Ready for a new chapter? Talk to your rheumatologist. This is Humira at work.
It can be hotter than Death Valley in your attic. Take these boxes. They're not only perfect for storing old yearbooks and pictures, they're also a perfect food source and nesting material for roaches. That's why I use the latest scientific methods. Orkin, pest control down to a science.
My dad takes good care of us. He cuts the grass, washes the car. He's always fixing stuff. And he makes sure we're okay, even when he's not here.
The Honda EU7000. Quiet, portable, incredibly reliable. And like Dad, there when you need it.
Mom says that's what makes him so great. I think he's great because he's my dad.
Honda generators. Very smart.
All right, welcome back to our special live coverage here in Philadelphia. Last week it was all about Cleveland, and this week it is Philly's turn. On Monday, the Democratic National Convention officially takes over the city, but I can personally attest that being here, it has already overtaken the city, and it's a nice 100 degrees here today as well. So let's compare what we saw last week in Cleveland at the RNC to what we're going to see this week from the Democrats. To talk about that, our panel, CNN senior media correspondent and host of Reliable Sources, Brian Stelter, is with us. Also with us, Michael Nutter, the former mayor of this great city and a Clinton supporter, and CNN political commentator and Donald Trump supporter, Scotty Nell Hughes. Thank you all for being here. Let's talk about the tone. Scotty, let me begin with you. The tone that Donald Trump painted of America was a dystopian society that only he can fix. The tone here, I think we got a clue from what Clinton and Kaine just said today of what the tone will be here, which is the opposite, a very optimistic stand-together tone. As a Trump supporter, are you comfortable with how he painted the picture of America And do you believe that Clinton and Kaine painted too rosy a picture of America that is perhaps reflective of the America they see, but not reflective of the America so many people are living in and struggling in today?
Well, I think, Mr. Trump, first of all, if we would go back a week ago in a little time machine and started on Sunday, I guarantee I could not have predicted, none of us could have predicted what happened last week. Every day was a different opera story that we continue to live. But I think, I saw it more as like, yes, they were cautious, but they were still optimistic. They were still about putting America first and putting our country first. I heard a lot of optimism in the room. We're going to be great again. We're going to be winning. We're going to give you the tools you need to be a success, to provide for your family. We're going to protect your family. And we're going to put America first when it comes to trade and the economy. So yes, I did hear a lot of optimism, and I guarantee I'll hear that same sort of optimism this week as well. This is what these platforms are for.
So Mayor Nutter, to you, it's interesting because, I think Clinton and Kaine have to walk this line and reflect the America where many families feel like they have fallen behind. Right. How do they do that when the tone we heard from them today was very cheery, and the tone that Donald Trump has used and has worked well for him is that no, things aren't good for you at home and I'm the only one who can make them better? How do they reflect some of the anger in America?
Well, Mr. Trump wants to continue that kind of narrative because that worked for him in the primary. It won't work in the general. The country is not falling apart. Secretary Clinton and Senator Kaine are quite well aware of the challenges that people face in poverty, in education, in crime, in lack of jobs and other opportunities. But the country is still great. This whole narrative is going to be great again. That means it's not great now, which is just wrong. So everything that he says and what Scotty was trying to get across about, it's about the future, about the future, about the future, in Donald Trump's world means that things are horrible right now.
Kids. Did the Trump kids, which by the way, they're adults now, let's just put that out there, did the Trump kids who are now adults save the RNC? You've got Chelsea Clinton will speak here, the former President Bill Clinton will speak. How can her family match up with how the Trump kids did?
Well, we all know Chelsea Clinton. We think we know her because we've seen her in the public life for 20 years, but we don't actually ever really hear her speak. Even when she was on NBC's show, she was barely ever on TV. So it's actually pretty rare to see her up on the stage speaking. I think that will be a special moment. This is actually 4 nights of must-see TV in Philly. If you think about the schedule in Cleveland, one of the criticisms of the Republican convention was that there weren't enough A-list stars or ex-presidents or party bigwigs. Well, here, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, the Bidens, the Obamas, and the Clintons. From a programming standpoint, there are lots of big-name speakers. That's why I think the Democratic convention is going to have higher ratings than the Republican convention. The numbers for the Republicans were okay, but there wasn't a super Trump ratings bump the way he predicted. So I do think the Democrats will probably have more tune-in, which could go to their advantage.
Who watched the most was for Ivanka and Donald Trump?
That's right. I mean, Trump certainly, Thursday night was the highest rated night by far, but it was 30 million viewers. It wasn't the 40 or 50 that some expected. Trump thought he might maybe double an average convention, and he didn't do that. But then again, it is the hot middle of the summer. Maybe some people aren't tuned in yet.
I guess we'll be watching it all and bringing you the numbers every morning on CNN Money and here on CNN. Brian Stelter. Guys, thank you so much. We have much more ahead. We appreciate it. Scotty Nell, Mayor Nutter, Brian Stelter. Coming up next, focusing on security with such a high-profile list of speakers here in Philadelphia. Security is already extremely tight. Coming up next, my colleague Miguel Marquez is going to take a look at how this city is preparing for any possibility of threats. Miguel.
Yeah, Poppy, up to 50,000 protesters today to keep those protesters and the delegates safe. It is going to be a massive effort here. We will see about it coming right up.
At the Lincoln Summer Invitation Sales Event, it's time to relax. From the moment you take your foot off the brake stays engaged, and you stay put, taking the leg out of stop-and-go traffic, and even hills. That's the more human side of engineering. This is the Lincoln Summer Invitation. Hurry in now to your dealer for limited time offers. Lease a Lincoln MKX for $349 a month or get 0% APR for 60 months and just announced $1,000 summer invitation bonus.
This is Jim. He's a proud hotel owner. But Jim is frustrated. The Rabbit Breeders Convention has come to town and none of the visitors stay in his amazing hotel. Why should you care? Well, they looked on popular websites that don't have his hotel. So you wouldn't have found it either. However, on Trivago, you never rely on one or even several websites because there's more than 200 of them. That way you find your hotel for the best price. The visitors, rabbits, and Jim like that about Trivago, and so should you. Hotel Trivago.
Something amazing happens when you design custom shirts from Custom Ink. Everyone feels like part of the team. You go farther when you go together. Your crew looks professional from start to finish. Be happy just to be together. Custom Ink's Design Lab has tons of fonts and amazing artwork. You can even upload your own logo, and we're always here to help. To get started with free shipping, visit customink.com today.
I think when people hear about memory care, they're scared. They think that it's sad. I think it's important for everyone to know that there's so much more to memory support than the stigmas that you hear about, that these residents still have lives and their lives still matter, and that they are still living their lives, that they're not locked away, and that they still have a lot to live for. You know, they have people that care about them, and they have people that love them, and I love them. So
call now to find out how we can put our 30 years of understanding to work for your loved one today.
The sun used to make our outdoor deck and patio space so hot and uncomfortable we couldn't use it.
But then we discovered the Sunsetter retractable awning. Our Sunsetter retractable awning opens and closes in just 60 seconds. It keeps our patio about 20 degrees cool.
It provides instant shade and instant protection from the sun's harmful rays.
Our Sunsetter costs under $700.
But now you can get your Sunsetter for as little as $499. Call now to get this special $200 discount certificate.
We love our Sunsetter retractable awning, and you're going to love yours too.
Call now for this free awning idea kit packed with great awning solutions. Plus, get this $200 discount certificate that will bring you your Sunsetter for as little as $499.
But this is a limited time offer. Call now.
Sunsetter retractable awnings are assembled in America and are guaranteed to last for years.
And talk about extras. You can choose from motorized awnings for push-button opening and closing.
Hundreds of thousands of families own and love their Sunsetter retractable awnings. We're one of them, and you should be too.
Stay cooler.
And do it all at $200 off if you call now.
Call now for your free awning idea kit with local dealer info and $200 discount certificate. Life is better under a Sunsetter. Call now and save.
1-800-771-2879.
Welcome back. The city of brotherly love becomes the center of the political universe in just about 48 hours. The kickoff of the 2016 Democratic National Convention. That means a lot of security prep here, just like we saw in Cleveland last week. National correspondent Miguel Marquez is live in the middle of all of it outside the Wells Fargo Center. Look, Miguel, last week in Cleveland, the barriers were about 3 times my height. I mean, security, no joke here. What are they doing in Philadelphia just to prepare for anything?
Well, they're certainly not joking either. I like to call this the cacophony of democracy, and Philly is prepared for it, they say. They are expecting up to 50,000 protesters a day throughout the city. I want to show you what it looks like here at the Wells Fargo Center. There are several different barricades here. On those trees, beyond more barricades, that's actually the Wells Fargo Center. We're several miles from where you are standing right now, all the way up Broad Street here. If you were just to keep going there about 4 or 5 miles, we'd find you up that way as well as Independence Hall, where the Declaration of Independence was signed. These trucks are now appearing everywhere to prevent those sort of peace-like attacks in the situation as well. A big problem for police is not only to keep the delegates safe, but to keep the protesters safe and allow them to protest as well. They want them out there. They want them to march into the streets and do this. If you are a protester, this is where it'll happen for the most part. Franklin Delano Roosevelt Park. You won't see a whole lot, though, beyond these barricades. So they've set up different areas in this park so that they can have them into one specific area that was fairly contained. This is going to be much more broad throughout the city. Poppy?
Miguel, thank you so much in the middle of all of it for us, and just wait until those 50,000 people descend on this city in just about a day and a half. Thank you, Miguel. Coming up next, we're going to have a little fun here in Philadelphia on a Trump.
As I was saying, everyone loves me. I even got this fat piece of crap behind me now. Oh my God. They're multiplying.
That, of course, is none other than the legendary Darrell Hammond. He joins me now from New York. I just wish that you were in the 100-degree Philadelphia heat with me just so we could be side by side. But thank you for being with me. We appreciate it.
I wish I was there too. Are you drinking a lot of water? I haven't figured out how to hydrate yet or anything.
Yeah, that is what I'm doing. And let's just jump right into it. I got to ask you, you played all these characters. You don't have party ties. You play characters across the aisle, from Bill Clinton to Al Gore to Donald Trump. Do you buy the theory that SNL can have